hello, this is 012 Well, this is 012 Boku, and this is...
Benjamin Jackass Franklin. And yes, I am wearing my bifocals. Thank you for noticing.
I didn't know you became that old. Why, excuse me, gentlemen, I put on my bifocals.
Why, I'm so old, I'm old enough to remember when people took the Constitution seriously.
Whoa. But either way, we are coming at you with another review, and we are doing another TV episode, and it is, again, back to the Legion of Superheroes, and it is the episode of Legacy. Now granted, weird title for the episode, because in many ways I think it talks about the legacy of Quark and what he needs to be, to how he wants to measure up. And the reason that gets called into play is because with this episode, it deals with a character named Alexis. I grabbed the wrong bit of note there. And basically Alexis is this gorgeous orange-haired girl who, at the beginning of this episode, is falling out of the sky in a rocket robot sort of thing. Superman's trying to help her out because he thinks she's in danger, and she's like jumping off the Legion Tower and zooming and zagging through all things, sort of falling through buildings, causing a bit of a hectic mess. And like she gets into a point where she's free falling, almost thinking she's going to crash. Quark actually saves her, gets out, jumps out really quick, says thanks for the save, blows him a kiss, walks away, and Quark's like, who was that?
Yeah. Is it just me, or is it kind of ironic foreshadowing that she's named after that funny, evil little AI everybody's got in their house? Alexis, play Despacito.
Not a bad thing to make a point of there, Jared. Yeah, a little creepy, but I don't think they knew that was possibly going to happen, but it's like, it's a funny coincidence. Now, if they did know something was going to happen and they purposely named Alexa after something like that, yeah, that is a little creepy then too, but...
Well, I mean, hey...
I'm not going to clutch straws.
She is a soulless ginger, so it's fair to point out.
Yes, absolutely. And as we see as it goes along, like Quark gets back, Superman gets back, starts telling everybody about who he met, what she looked like, and like Phantom Girl says, well, that person sounds exactly like me, except a little bit more unhinged. And they're all just thinking, who's he talking about? And then Quark gives a description. I think it was Phantom Girl who found it, and they're like, yeah, that's the girl. That's Alexis. And they're like, Alexis. I think they said her full name, but did I write it down? No, I just wrote down Alexis. But basically, Alexis is this big-time tycoon. She's a big-time inventor, owns toys. Her family is super rich. She's super rich. Everybody knows who it is, including even Brainiac 5. And Phantom Girl says, like, yeah, she's like me, just again, a little bit more unhinged part. So they're making a huge deal out of it.
It's kind of interesting, and I just remembered. Not only is she like, a bit of a tech whiz kid, kind of bratty, irresponsible, reckless, a little egotistical, but I just remembered.
What?
Lex Luthor was originally a ginger too before the accident where he lost his hair.
Well, wow, I can't believe that just hit me like a brick right now.
Yeah, because...
Alexander Luthor, Alexis...
Yeah, and, something we're going to be talking about in this episode a little bit later.
She does have a power suit, so...
Yeah. She has a power suit. She comes from, she has a big corporation. She has an incident involving Superboy.
Well, you are the comic book sort of thing. Was there a daughter in the Legion of Superheroes related to Lex called Alexis at all, Jarek?
I can't remember, but honestly, given the fact this is New Metropolis, it's Superman. She's clearly a brilliant, wealthy, highly irresponsible individual who's got a penchant for mechanical devices and power suits, and you have to imagine Lex would have a descendant, so it's not entirely out of the question. And to be honest, I mean, it also kind of would fit with his penchant for other odd things. I mean, heck, he actually hijacked the body of his like Earth 2 counterpart from Crisis on Infinite Earths and pretended that he was his son when it was actually the Lex Luthor died, but they saved his brain. Yeah,
Yep.
that was also in the 90s when he had that weird shape-shifting clone Supergirl who was working for him.
Yep. And I mean, but again, not too far from the truth when you think about it. And there's that scene that's later on in this episode where she does lose all her hair. So, yeah.
Alexis Luthor, criminal genius.
Yeah. Alexis Luthor, criminal genius, mastermind, and all that. Don't you forget it.
Good lord, man.
Nick and Poop, Lane Brain, Feather Brain.
Now I need to see them redub that scene with Gene Hackman's voice.
yeah. And so, I mean, yeah, that you could basically make that parallel there, folks. It sort of is there. And what happens is, while they're debating all this, you have Alexis's robot. I think it's they spelled it wrong and at the end credits, but it's I think I spelled it right. What was it? Oh, Woodhouse, which in the credits it's spelled Wodehouse or Wodehouse or something like that. Terrible. Whoever wrote that, absolutely terrible. But it's Woodhouse, and Woodhouse gives Clark an invitation to for Alexis. She pops up on a visual screen saying she's invited Superman to a charity ball. Superman's excited. He wants to go have fun. And Brainiac's like, well, you could have fun if you weren't having to join me in watching over the city for the scavengers. And then he's like, scavengers, and everybody else is like, scavengers? And Brainiac's like, yes, the scavengers. I wrote it down in a 500-page report.
Yeah, they're like,
Or wait, no. And he's like, I wrote it down in the report. And Phantom goes like, Brainy, that report's 500 pages. Correction, it is actually 492 pages.
which you would have known had you actually read it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what you would have known if you would have actually read it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was getting some nasty flashbacks to my childhood at that scene.
Yeah. And, so they're basically all saying, now you know why we get bored and whatnot, because they throw a little shade at Brainiac, but it's mostly still about, like, Clark taking a thing of his responsibilities. As time goes on, Clark's getting ready for the charity ball, and, all of a sudden, you have him spot Brainiac 5, and, Brainiac 5 is sort of there. He's sad, feeling a little down, and I would say he's feigning boredom because he knows he's hearing all these excuses from Clark, and he doesn't know what to believe. And he's saying, I get it, Clark. You want this, you want that, but yeah. And, you would have joined me, but you mucked up 1 week too. And, Clark's realizing, okay, I've made some mistakes here. Maybe I've been fooling around too much. But then he...
Yeah, because, Alexis, for some odd reason, I think she takes a shine to Superman because he's, like, the first real interaction she's had. I mean, this is a very disconnected rich kid. Every interaction is all probably either her family, the boardroom. Heck, when he goes to the charity ball, he's like, aren't these people your friends? It's like, they're just here for the paycheck. It's like, this is a girl who clearly has never had friends. We see, she asks him to come visit him. She makes contrived excuses to get him away from his duties. This is a girl who is, like, stupid fucking lonely. This is a girl who's probably never spent a moment with a boy her own age in her entire life.
Plus, she wants the thrill, and that basically was the gist of it. And to go back a little bit, Clark says he'll be with Patrol for Brainiac over the next week the entire time. Brainiac 5, perks up at this and is excited about it because again he wants to be good friends with Superman and he idolizes him. As you know from what we've talked about before. And as Jarek was saying, he goes to the ball. The kids are making fun of Clark. She comes to his defense, like making fun of them. And, they go through that whole thing. Oh, they're just here for the money. They're just here. And she wants to leave right away. And what happens is
Oh, that I remember this. Yeah,
she steals Lobo's bike.
Yeah,
Lobo cameo.
the main man himself, he just happens to be there. She grabs his bike and dares Superman to race her to see who can get back to her place first. And Woodhouse just pays him off. It's like,
Creds.
yeah, sorry for your troubles. And it's just hilarious too, because I mean, it's like Lobo actually probably would be, just. It's like, yeah, that was a custom bike, but fuck it, he just gave me enough to make 5 of them sons of bitches. I'm gonna go get drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I was telling him,
another thing for another thing for Lobo.
It's like that was a custom space hog. It's like, here you go. Oh shit, man, I can make like 5 or 6 of those things with this.
Yeah,
it's like booze time.
And then as that goes on, they race, and then all of a sudden they get to the building. Alexis sneaks into her own building because apparently she's not supposed to be there the entire time. Quark's getting worried, but they get to her lab where it's a bunch of toys and robots. And then they start playing with a bunch of the toys, and Alexis is confiding in how lonely she is. She really doesn't have any friends. Like he's her only friend, and she also doesn't have a lot of excitement in her life. And Quark's saying, well, no, I understand because I have all these powers, and I've had moments where I couldn't use them. So, I understand what it's like to be you. And during all this time, Brainiac 5 was sort of calling in, giving him all these constant reports, being a little bit of a nag, but, it's how Brainiac 5 is. He is a cyborg android, after all, and plus, that's part of the programming of him. He would do that all the time.
We also kind of see that, this plays back to the idea that Clark, he is a kid, but he's never really had a real childhood. No real playtime, and even when he does, he can't really, stretch out and just be himself. Again, it goes back to that Justice League episode.
Yep.
I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, constantly taking steps not to use too much power lest I break someone or something. It's like...
Yep.
And that's the thing. This is the first time he's gotten to cut loose and actually act like a kid. It's... and with somebody who he kind of feels like he understands a little.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, she's always coming up with these weird excuses or weird reasons to, like, pull him away from his work. Because she, I mean, you see, like, he mentions, like, should we be breaking in? It's like, no, but, it's more fun this way. Besides, what's the point of, like, all these security measures if I don't test out how good they are? And it's kind of a thing. She's brilliant, but she has no concept of anything outside of herself. Yeah. She is so laser focused on her own limited view of things.
Well, she's egotistical, obsessive, and self-loving for sure. That is definitely.
I mean, like at one time, she makes like that that power suit for Woodhouse, disguising him as like a attacking robot, and he's going up against Clark, and Clark knocks off the helmet. It's Woodhouse is like, my apologies, Miss Alexis's idea.
Yeah, and believe it or not, even before we get to that, like he's having fun with Alexis, and like I said, Brainiac 5 keeps calling. He keeps turning it off to where the point where he turns it off, and Brainiac 5 and the Legion, they're all there at the tower, and he's like, he turned off the communicator, guys, and you notice that they're actually being attacked by the scavengers, and they're actually, sort of having a bit of a tough time, but they're pushing them back and doing what they can. But the scavengers have a high bit of numbers. So, an actually really good fight scene with everyone who was there. Lightning Lad, Saturn Girl, Phantom Girl, and Brainiac 5. They're doing what they can to keep them all back. All of a sudden, there's a part where one of the scavengers shoots like a ray. They have like these ray gauntlets on their arms. Shoots one of his ray gauntlets. They catch Brainiac 5 right in his arm. It basically, breaks his arm off. And he falls to the ground, knocked out. And then what happens is Quark comes back after the commercial break and tells his friends what a good time he had with Alexis. But then all of a sudden, he sees, like, what happened to you guys? What's wrong? Oh, Brainiac, your arm. Oh, it's nothing. It's fine. Because basically it regenerates and grows back. And, they're saying, where were you? And it's like, oh, I was with them. They're all like, let me guess, Alexis. And apparently Brainiac and, Quark are having a bit of a row here. A little bit of an argument, but Quark realizes he's in the wrong, makes it up to Brainiac saying, hey, I'm going to be here for you guys. I'm going to be here for you. I won't let this happen. And what happens is, obviously, and this was before the Woodhouse robot, Alexis invites Quark out. Quark wants to go with her, but he's like, okay, this one thing, wants to do baseball, this one thing, racetrack, this one thing. Who wants to spin out the edge of the world or whatever they were doing out there in space? And, It's like it kept on going. And then there's this one part where he tells Alexis, saying, Alexis, I have duties. I have stuff I need to do. I like you. I really do. Don't mistake that. I like you. I really do. But I have to help out and take my responsibilities as a superhero seriously. So he leaves. She gets a pouty face. And you're like, oh, okay, where's this going? All of a sudden, you believe, maybe a few days pass. And then all of a sudden, Alexis calls in the communicator, calling specifically for Quark to help. Quark rushes over, considering he's still friends with Alexis, and breaks into her lab to where she said where she was at, where she's getting attacked by all these other robots, deals with the robots, and then you see this big robot beating him down, and then it gets to the point where he's almost getting pushed back, and then he's about to cut loose and use full force, like Jarek said. Woodhouse, that's enough. Shh. Sorry, sir. Did not mean to hit you, but Alexis was rather intuitive. And that's what sets Quark off at her, is that you set this up, you lied to me, and she's like, well, I had to get you coming for some way. Oh, and the best part is Alexis was freaking out at first when Quark broke in, but as soon as he broke in, she sat back, was sort of eating popcorn or just sitting there cheering him on and being all the weird things instead of afraid, or hey, my hero. She's like, hey, this is cool. And again, sets Quark off. He's like, look, Alexis, we're friends, but I have to do my duties. So don't do this again. I'm telling you, realize that I have to do this. It's part of my job. And, basically he doesn't fully tell her off, but he's still with her saying this has to stop. And he goes up and she's like, well, it seems like your friends are in the way. And then, believe it or not, we cut to a part where the scavengers are talking, saying how they almost had the Legion last time, but, they're too powerful, and their men were wounded and hurt, and they couldn't go at him, and they wanted to know how they do it. Along comes Alexis, who basically breaks into the scavengers' lair and offers them all upgrades to their stuff to say, I want you to get rid of the Justice League. And as... Legion. Yeah. Legion of Superheroes. Ah! I probably said that twice, I think. Thank you, Jarek. No, I'm a dum-dum, folks. But, to get rid of the Legion of Superheroes. And then, little do we know is there's a responder signal and an asteroid belt that none of the Legion can go to. Quark's like, well, I'm one who can. So he flies up to the transponder signal for the distress. And all of a sudden, you have Alexis and the scavengers breaking in and, starting to attack, the Legion of Superheroes. Again, Lightning Lad, Phantom Girl, Brainiac 5, Saturn Girl. And it's actually a pretty good fight, but the Legion is holding their own. All of a sudden, Quark gets to where he needs to get, and he realizes there's nothing here, nothing except this satellite signal, and then he realizes the logo, Alexis. Yeah. Zooms all the way back, and then... they're still doing what they can with the scavengers. Scavengers actually get a few shots in on all of them. But Phantom Girl, Lightning Lad, Brainiac 5, and Saturn Girl. Saturn Girl who uses her telepathy. But not only that, I think this is one of the first episodes where we see she's actually got some martial arts skills. And she uses the telepathy with the martial arts skills pretty handy to get her out of the situations, which I actually like. So
plus
she's not just...
Plus, we also noticed she used telekinesis again, so it looks like she does have telekinetic skills. It just kind of looks like it puts more strain on her.
I wouldn't doubt if it does. I mean, like we saw how, even though there were all the voices, how much the Mind Blast and Timberwolf in the second episode drained her a lot.
But, we definitely see that those upgrades definitely gave him a bigger advantage this go-around, and... It's, kind of interesting that Alexis had the whole, I'll just send a satellite out to this highly radioactive area that only Clark would stand a chance against. Because, Lex had a tendency to do shit like that as well.
Yeah. Well, and remember, in some comics, Lex was Quark's friend. So again, it sort of does explain, Quark wanting or Lex wanting to know about Quark and the jealousy. Best thing that pulls that off in all the lore. And sorry guys, you may think this is a bias of mine, but Smallville did it the best. They really did. They really had those seasons really show Quark and Lex's friendship, how it fell apart, and at the same time how deep down that friendship, but also the rivalry is still there, but how deep down they're still somewhat friends for each other, and there's that respect. And I'm like, Smallville did it great, but we will probably get to that at some point, so rest assured, we'll probably talk about that.
Well, that and the Injustice games. I mean, dear God, that sacrifice by Lex in the alternate timeline.
And if you want to add, just like with how I said, we'll probably do like somewhere down the line the Max Fleischmans as well. And and those two. If you want to add the Injustice games to it, I'm down, dude.
Because let's be honest, those were great fucking games. It's just
yes, they were, and believe it or not, they were better than. I like the Mortal Kombat series, guys, but they were better than the Mortal Kombat series. That's just me, because I think they had the better story, in my opinion.
Plus, those Injustice graphic novels are beast.
Yes, they are. Well, and remember, they were done both simultaneously at the same time. The graphic novels in the game were done simultaneously at the same time, which was also badass, because that had not been done before either.
I think if I remember, didn't I get Pikachu 23, that Injustice Year Zero graphic novel?
Yes, you did. I do remember you did do that, Jarek.
Yeah, check that shit out. That was dark as fuck.
And again, sorry for getting off topic, but that's sort of like, again, making the comparisons between Alexis and Lex. And what happens is, after the scavengers are completed, Alexis shows up in this giant mech, is starting to push, I think she cornered Brainiac 5 and Phantom Girl, starting to push them back. Brainiac 5 and Saturn Girl, sorry. Phantom Girl and Lightning Lad show up to help, but then, they're sort of getting pushed back. Quark shows up, to the delight of Brainiac 5 and the others, and, Alexis is like, oh, it's a pity you couldn't stay away too long, because I was going to hopefully get this trash cleaned up before you arrived. And he's like, Trash, Alexis, what are you doing? I'm getting rid of your so-called friends, because I'm the only friend you have, and, they're getting in the way of what we have together. And he's like, Alexis, if this is what you're going to do, then we have nothing together. She starts to snap and use like a huge, laser on Quark. Quark's blocking it, like, pretty much easy. It's pushing him back a little bit, but, Woodhouse actually showed up first, started kicking the crap out of Quark. Quark easily dispatches of Woodhouse after a few good hits from Woodhouse, breaking Woodhouse into pieces. Then the laser comes in. Quark's being pushed back, but he's actually showing some force, and actually warns Alexis, because Alexis is turning up the pressure on the beam. She turns it up all the way to, like, I think 100 or wherever it was at. And he's actually warning Alexis, you don't know what you're going to do, because you're not going to hurt me. And then all of a sudden the beam goes back at her and explodes her power suit. Quark actually got to her right when it exploded, so you see him and Alexis flying out of the explosion. Sadly, Alexis did not get out unscathed, because she is a little burnt up and a little injured, and sadly she loses all her hair, and she's like, what did you do to me? And it basically ends right then and there, and the Legion happy to have Quark back. Quark saying, yeah, it's good to be back, and hey guys, I'll definitely take this seriously and live up to my name. So again, there's the thing for legacy right there. And then all of a sudden, it cuts to the part where Alexis is in prison. She's rebuilding Woodhouse. I almost said Wodehouse, but Woodhouse. And believe it or not, it must have been like a couple months or something since the fight transpired, because her hair is actually starting to grow back. It's just very short and orange, and she's got one bang in the front. And then, she rebuilds the head of Woodhouse, and Woodhouse is like, oh, thanks for getting me back online, mistress. It's nice to see you again. Good to see you to Woodhouse. And you know what? My fight with the Legion made me realize one thing. Being a villain is actually really cool. And he's like, well, what makes you say that, madam? Let's just say it has something a little bit to do with payback. And then she takes a screwdriver she was using on Woodhouse. She carved the Legion insignia into her table, stabbed the insignia, and that's where it ended.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because, like, earlier when she first met Clark, she was, telling him how massively bored she is. Nothing's a challenge for her. She doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. And then she has her little breakup with Clark, and now she knows what she wants to do in life. It's kind of strange because, in a sense, again, it's another odd parallel to Lex Luthor,
Yeah.
Lex had all that brilliance and talent, but, no idea what the fuck he was going to do with it. And then that little accident happens. It's like, it's Superman's fault.
Yeah.
I will spend my entire life getting my vengeance. Yeah, good luck with that, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. And it was just a very fun and good episode. But I will save that for final thoughts, because for characters, again, I will have to say for this one, everybody did their roles again really well. There's actually a lot of good parts between everybody in this one, but I have to say for which it focuses on, I'll basically start off with it because I think he is a bit of a dark horse favorite since he did focus a bit on that. I will give a dark horse shout out to Adam Wiley, Brainiac 5. Love your performance as Brainiac 5. I love how you really care for Clark as a friend. You give a great performance. And, of course, your fanboy of him is awesome. But I love how, you like to make sure the Legion is well taken care of and that, he'll take his duties seriously, too. So, again, you really play that off really well. So you're my little dark horse not there. But I have to give this, guys, first to Yuri Lowenthal, Superman Clark Kent. Great performance by him in this episode. You really feel for him. You feel bad at points, and then you're like, oh, Clark, you're mucking up here. What are you doing? And then you're glad he comes through at the end. Very heroic, very, very, stoic and good. Yuri Lowenthal just brings the entire package. Again, he's a good actor, and he has a surprisingly good range for doing young voices. Because granted, I was telling Jarek here, he sounds a little bit like Simone, but just different enough to make sure it wasn't exactly the same thing as Simone. So again, I like how Yuri Lowenthal can do different pitches to up his range, where it sounds similar, but it's a different character voice. And then you guys will probably know this one if you know the voice acting community. You probably knew Yuri Lowenthal too, but Tara Strong. Tara Strong is a veteran of the industry, and she was Alexis. Wow, the femme fatale, the spoiled
Yep.
brat, the rich girl. She brought it all in this one, and just her disinterest or her anger or her just boredom played out very good in this. And Tara Strong, again, I have to salute you. It was great to have you in this role, and it was quite fun too. You really brought it out in this episode. Jarek, how about you?
Not gonna lie, it's almost the same, but I am gonna switch up the order. Dark Horse, of course, goes to Brainiac 5, because
Okay.
I'll be honest, he really did that, that gentle, friendly, best friend nerd role, just absolute perfection,
Yeah,
dude.
and then I also forgot the disappointment he has when Clark is letting him down, and then I'll go on patrol with you twice this week. Really?
Honestly, I'd have to say he's coming dangerously close to being on the same level as my favorite TV nerd, Mr. Billy Cranston himself, the Blue Ranger.
Hey, all
As
right.
for my second favorite, it's got to be Yuri Lowenthal, because, dear God, there's a lot of good Supermans, and he's a damn good one. And just to give you an idea of how much range this dude has, contrast his voice as young Superman in this show to the fact that he's the grizzled one-eyed pirate in Rogue Galaxy on the PS2.
Yeah, that too.
Seriously, this dude has almost got Freddie Mercury levels of range. And then for my favorite, of course, we gotta go with Tara Strong, because, damn! I always wondered, what would a female Lex Luthor be like? Now I know.
That's almost like the parallel, we could say it. And again, I'm probably going to want to research this episode in my own time. And if I remember to bring it back, I'll try to write this down and bring it back in one of our future episodes. Just to drop a line on that really quick. Because I would not doubt if this was supposed to be based on Lex Luthor a little bit. Or that Alexis is a descendant of Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
If not blood related completely, that she is somehow the descendant reincarnated of Lex Luthor to get another chance, but old habits die hard, as they say.
Because, I mean, you have to remember, this series, back in the day, did make a point of showing that we have a lot of descendants of previous superheroes. Like, we haven't seen if they're going to include them yet, but there is a Green Lantern in this part of the timeline who's, strangely enough, a female Ginger herself and a descendant of Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner. Dear God, man, I would love to take that girl on a date.
Yeah. Or is I like what they do in Batman Beyond. It's that weird little bald kid, but still I thought that was cool.
You know, that was another...
Or bald Asian kid. Weird little bald Asian kid. Sorry to make that point, but he is Asian, guys.
And I mean, it's kind of weird when you realize he's Kyle Rayner's descendant.
Really?
Yeah, I believe he's one of Kyle Rayner's descendants. I mean, guy might have had a few little ones here and there.
I was about to say Bow Chicka Bow Wow.
Well, I mean, dude, he dated Sinestro's daughter. He dated Alan Scott's daughter. He dated Wonder Girl.
He dated all our daughters.
I mean, dude, he's the Night Buns of the Green Lantern Corps.
Kyle Rayner, you get your ass back here. You've spoiled my daughter's good, you son of a bitch.
Kyle, I thought you had more willpower than this. What you talking about, Hal? How many girlfriends you got now?
But yeah, and then oh man, wow, what a way to go into this last bit. No, you do it again, Jarek, I tell you. But overall, guys, a fun episode, a really good one. The action was great. I have to say, from what we've seen, probably the best action they've shown in the show so far. Yeah, the Scavengers played second fiddle, but they backed up Alexis really good, and Alexis was the main focus, and as far as a spoiled brat villain, played it perfectly, and, you know, again, it really strengthening the bonds between Clark Kent, Superman, and the Legion of Superheroes, and I like how it shows that, because I think after this one, if I remember, Clark does not slip up as much after this, so it's a great thing that they showed it to sort of keep the continuity going, because he's still young, but I like how even after this, he's like, I'm going to start taking these things seriously, and it's just going to be cool going forward. From what I remember, this is only the second time I've seen this show through, so hey, but Jarek, how about your final thoughts?
Where does she get those wonderful toys?
I couldn't have said that better myself. You're always good for those one-liners to end things. But no, that's good, guys. If you've seen the episode, you know the point. And what do you guys think? Have you seen any part of Legion of Superheroes with me and Jarek on this? Again, I probably will say this even until we're done. Did you guys even know the show existed? Because I only knew this existed thanks to Quips on YouTube and finding it on Amazon, because I do also have the DVD runs. Now, what I like about this Blu-ray is it has the rest of the show. The DVDs never went all the way, so I love how this has the whole entire thing, which is what I love. But, you know, just let us know what you guys think down in the comments, and let's try to get a discussion going if we can. Until then, this is 012 Boku and
Jerky Jackass.
And we will see you guys again later, alright? Deuces.
Deuces.